Hey guys, I just want to say that if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I'm a small content creator and could really use your support. I live stream 100% of the gameplay for games that I review, and I'm also always trying to keep up with the big named movies that are being released. If you would like to support the channel monetarily, you can do so through PayPal, or even better yet, you can get yourself some merch from my Teespring store. If you want to get better connected, you can do so through the social links in the description below, and please do consider joining the Discord. If you do, you can voice chat with me through my headphones while I live stream, and you won't be recorded on YouTube or Twitch. That's all I've got, guys. I hope that you really enjoy the video. Hello everyone, and welcome. Are you ready for the next phase of the MCU? I'm Mike, and this is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is...
Sam, nice to see you guys again.
And today we are doing the After Action Review for Marvel's Eternals. Alright guys, so as always we're going to start with the movie's production. So this had two production companies. Marvel Studios, which is most recently they did Shang-Chi, and they're most well known for of all of the Avengers movies. We've had 20 some years of those. TSG Entertainment, they most recently did Free Guy and The Last Duel. Free Guy and The Last Duel were both released in 2021. This movie was written by Patrick Burleigh, and this is, so I actually, when I saw this, I started to almost get, I saw the movie, I came home, and then I looked up the production companies, and I was like, I don't know, this is a little bit goofy. So the writers for this is Patrick Burleigh, and he's only written one other movie, and you'll never guess what movie it was that he wrote. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which was released it was just recently released. That was his first movie. Some of these guys have written like shorter, like smaller production things, like episodes of series and shorts and stuff, but the only movie that guy wrote was that one. And then Ryan Firpo, who he has never done a movie. He only has done shorts. And then he did two documentaries called 10 Years, which was released in 2006, and Luck Boxes in 2016. Yes.
I've never seen those or heard of those, so I don't know.
Yeah, so this is like the most amateur cast, well, not cast, but the most amateur group of production company people to do a movie in the Marvel Universe, I think, ever. Like, this is like the most green people.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed.
Yeah. So and then the other writer was Chloe Zhao, who actually is actually a pretty accomplished director and writer. So she wrote and directed. She's an accomplished director and writer, but she's only done 3 movies, and those 3 movies have, from my understanding, actually been pretty good. And they are Nomadland, which was released in 2020, The Rider in 2016, and Songs My Brothers Taught Me in 2015. And those are her only 3 movies that she's ever done. So she's newer, but at the same time, those movies actually have been pretty decent, I've heard. So I understand.
Which is actually good.
Yeah, and if you notice, those movies are not... So all 3 of those movies are not action movies. They're not superhero movies. They are character dramas. So, which... Yeah. As we go into this, you're gonna maybe see a little bit of like, I can see where the choices for the director and the writers may have affected the movie for better or worse, and we'll talk about that as we go. So, so as always, we have our IMDb plot summary. This is a summary of the plot that is spoiler free. So, following the events of Avengers Endgame in 2019, an unexpected tragedy forces the Eternals, ancient aliens who have been living on Earth in secret for thousands of years, out of the shadows to reunite against mankind's most ancient enemy, the Deviants. So as far as the plot goes, what did you think? How did you like... First of all, that plot summary does not exactly cover everything that happens. And what did you think of not the characters or acting or any of the other stuff we're going to talk about, but just like the story that is being told? What did you think?
I thought it was a pretty good movie, story-wise. Story was okay. It's a little slow, in my opinion, especially for a Marvel movie, because every other Marvel movie you see kind of picks up really quick, kind of continues on. This one was a tad bit slower, but it did kind of build in the middle and then end kind of... Well, we'll talk about that later. But overall, I think it was a decent story. I think it definitely could have been better, but like you said, it's still fresh writers. Brand new writers haven't really done much production or any production at all. None of them have had any kind of superhero work for movies. So this is definitely overall, it was, considering how young and inexperienced the writers are, actually the story itself wasn't too bad, what I think.
Yeah, so I will say that I think that this was a great idea for introducing, I think that it's a great idea to say, hey, let's bring in, and this is not a spoiler because this isn't the promotional material, let's bring in the Eternals, obviously that's the name, but then let's bring in the Celestials, let's start to literally expand the Marvel Universe as far as what we see. I think that was a great idea. Execution-wise... we'll talk about it and see how everything goes. So one thing is that, so these are completely new characters. All new characters. There are no characters that you are going to recognize from any other movies or anything like that. And it's completely new characters, completely new lore. You have this Eternals, the Celestials, and the Deviants. And the Deviants are the space demons, which you see in the promotional material and stuff.
Yeah.
The story, the story summary that I gave was very bare bones. What actually this is kind of about is how the cycle of birth, life, and death throughout the universe, and how the Eternals help advance civilizations and kind of they protect life in the universe. And then it also gets into how the Celestials are affecting life in the universe. The Celestials, which you've seen the promote, those are those giant robots. So those are 300-meter tall, like 1,000-foot tall robots that run around in space, and they're basically like space gods, okay, in the Marvel Universe. And I know them from the comic books and some other media as well, but... and then basically this movie is about a lot of huge secrets that we haven't really touched on before in the big picture of how the universe works. So, like how I don't mean like the MCU, I mean like the actual universe that is within the MCU, how the actual life and space and everything goes round and round. And I think that
I personally thought that was kind of cool how they not just focusing on like this one, like how the first part of the MCU was focusing on this one particular event. It's kind of focusing on it's more relatable, I guess, to the audience goer, making it like a really sciencey and really out there. It helps you even question your own kind of reality. Like how is this actually working in this kind of way? I kind of expand your mind, not only just for the MCU itself, but for like life itself. If that makes sense.
Right,
I kind of enjoyed that part.
No, I get what you're saying, like with aliens and like how was creation and things like that. So that was cool. I mean, it doesn't get like religious or anything, but it's just, it's very interesting.
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty good. It does touch on a little bit of like a sci-fi way of thinking of things rather than just a fantasy, which is most of what the MCU is. Okay, so I did, again, good idea. We're going to talk about the execution, okay?
Yes.
So then, moving on, so we have the acting and the characters. So, main actor, the main guy that everybody's going to see and everybody's been watching, it's then Marvel's Superman.
Yeah,
Icarus.
and I real quick, I have something to say about that. I was kind of upsetting to where all they do is they mentioned, for a Marvel movie, you generally wouldn't. I'm a DC fan. I'll put that right now. I've always been a DC guy, but you can't really just. They mentioned that a couple of the characters mentioned that this one guy is Superman, or the other guy's like, oh, he's Batman, or whatever it is. How at you like that? It's kind of upsetting. It's like you don't just mention your rival company's thing in your movie. To me it was weird and upsetting a little bit, but That's just what I thought.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it, man. But this was Icarus, and he is played by Richard Madden, and he is known well from Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones series, which ran from 2011 to 2015. He was also in the movie Cinderella in 2015. He played the prince. His character is like this. Throughout the movie, and we have a lot of these characters to go through. If you look below me, not you, Sam, but the audience here can look below me, and that's every character in the movie. Those are all the main characters. There's 10 of them, okay? His character is kind of the leader, and everybody kind of sees him as the leader. Well, he's kind of, he's seen as being like the strong one. He can fly. He shoots lasers. He's kind of in a leadership position, and you see him having the weight of leadership on him a lot, and you can see that, and he's almost always like somber, and maybe you could just see that he's very troubled with like leadership. He's
very troubled and very stern.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. And then and that's like his character. Like as far as what his character is, leadership, stern. And you know what? There's 10 characters, so they didn't have a whole lot to necessarily... Actually, the actor said something. I watched a trailer where the actor said, like Richard Madden, Icarus's actor, said something that whether we have all these... I saw the movie, he said there's all these characters, and so we don't have all of the time to show you all of their history, but we can just touch on some moments. And that's true.
Yes.
Okay, that is true. And so basically what we see of him is he's the leader, he flies, he's super strong, he shoots lasers, and he's stern. Then we have Gemma Chan, who plays Cersei. And she was most recently in a movie called Let Them All Talk. It actually had Meryl Streep in it. And she was in Crazy Rich Asians in 2018. She plays Cersei. Now, Cersei is... I tried to explain...
Imagine it kind of like the story of King Midas. Anything he touched turns to gold. Same concept, because except for anything she touches turns into whatever she wants. She has to. She can change a rock into water or air into like fire or something like that. It's mostly she changes like matter. She's like the King Midas of the group in a sense.
Yeah, transmutation.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so she can transmute. So she can. There's a couple of times you see. Well, there's the big one that shows in the trailers where you see a bus and it's about to hit somebody, and she touches it, and the bus turns into flower petals and kind of dissipates. That's her power, and she is also seen as kind of a leader. Because while Icarus is the lead, like basically is actually the leader, everybody kind of follows his leadership. She is kind of chosen to take the place of the leader of this group throughout the movie.
Yes.
And you can see that she's like total fish out of water, not prepared, was not expecting to be selected. She probably would rather follow Icarus than be the leader.
Yeah, because Icarus kind of has that leadership style to where she does not, but everyone's following her because she is...
chosen.
Well, they all know each other because they've been around for thousands and thousands of years. They all know each other. It's just they follow her because they trust her because she's got a very trustworthy kind of way about her. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. And then you have and that is, again, what we're telling you about these characters is literally everything that you're going to get about the character. There's things that happen and everything, but as far as what you will understand about who they are, it's exactly that. Icarus is just strong, leader, stern. Cersei can change things from one thing to another thing, and she almost has like almost a fear of being kind of the leader. And
a little bit. I think it's because it was more of a shock to her when it happened.
Right. And dealing with like this huge world-changing event that is going on, that is kind of the main story of the movie.
Yeah.
So then we have Angelina Jolie, and she plays Thena. And actually, it's funny because you find out later that all of these certain legends and things that we have are of stories of the Eternals, and so like she is actually historically the goddess Athena.
So,
but her name is Thena. So she's Thena, and she is. I don't know exactly how super strong she is, and I'm going to get into that because that's a point.
From what I understand, it's not part of the storyline. From what I understand, I watched a video on it that they all equally are all equally strong. It's just that one's more stronger, according to the movie. one's stronger than the other in certain things. Like Cersei is the only one that can make things change away, and then Icarus is the only one that can fly. He is the strongest one. Angelina Jolie's character, what's her name? Athena. Athena's power is can manifest
weapons of light,
swords and shields from nothing. It's like they're like little like lights, lights that come out of her body, and she turns them into solid fighting objects. She is the warrior. She's the warrior of the entire group.
One thing there's another character that I actually think may be physically stronger than Icarus, but we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. Okay, so she is that stoic warrior type character, and that's it. That's like her character, stoic warrior type. And
with a past. The past is part of the story.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. We will get into it, but
of course.
So then you have Selma Hayek, and she is the leader. She is what is called the Prime Eternal. She is Ajak, and she's by the way, I forgot to mention Angelina Jolie from Girl Interrupted in 1999 and Maleficent 1 and 2 in 2014 and 2019, respectively, okay? But anyway, Selma Hayek, Ajak, Selma Hayek known from Frida in 2002 and The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard in 2021, released this year as well. So she is the leader, and her power is that she can heal.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Because these Eternals are fighting these things, and these what are they called again? The Descendants.
Deviants.
The Deviants. Thank you. The Deviants, and of course, it's a lot of hard work, and they get injured, so she heals them. But she has. I like her. I like her character as well because she has a certain. When she's a leader, all right, but she doesn't act like one. She doesn't like stow up in charge like Icarus would. She kind of calmly talks to you and reminds you that that's part of their job, what their mission actually is there. But she's someone that you can just talk to.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say too. She acts like a mother.
Yeah, and that's kind of what she does. She's a really motherly love. And when she says she loves you, she means it like platonically, or however you say the word, platonically.
Yeah. No, definitely. So she's basically the mother and the leader of this group. And yes, the way that she leads is basically like a mother with her children, guiding. She uses her wisdom to kind of guide them through different, maybe, like, because they do have some conflict as far as inner conflicts and infighting, normal stuff with any team, and she's kind of there to give some wisdom and help them.
Mediate everything. And she is also the only one that can talk to the Celestials.
Yes, that is one thing. So they are guided by the Celestials, and that is in the promotional material as well. And she has like an orb in her chest that she can put magically she can make this orb come out of her chest, and it allows her to communicate with the Celestials, and she communicates with the Celestials, and actually the Celestials look pretty good in this movie. I just want to
They actually did though. It was pretty sick. I saw them. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
And I saw it in IMAX, and so like the big.
So did I. I was like, good God.
Yeah. So then we have so there's her, and then we have Kumail Nanjiani. Kumail Nanjiani, and
he's a comedian.
And he's Kingo, and he is most well known for the Big Sick in 2017. He also did a movie called The Lovebirds in 2020, and he is the guy that you see with the guns, He's the guy that you see with two lasers, like he can shoot lasers, and so he's the one that you see when he shoots lasers out of his hands, and he can even do a thing almost like a Kamehameha wave. He builds a big ball and throws it.
Yeah, the best way I can describe it is he shoots projectiles out, and they're usually balls of energy. They're not lasers. They're like balls of energy. He just shoots out like that stuff, and it's actually pretty cool.
It's like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, kind of exactly.
Yeah.
And he, out of the characters, he's probably one of my favorite ones because, well, the actor himself, I can't pronounce his name. He actually he started his career as a comedian, so he's absolutely funny as it is.
Uh-huh.
This character he plays is very charismatic. He goes through the years because they live forever. He goes through the years as an actor, and he had a whole lineup in like his trailer of the movies he was in. But he's like, "This is my great grandfather. This is my grandfather." That was kind of funny how he put because he's a Bollywood star in in the movie.
Yeah, they do a really good job. I think that they did a really interesting thing with him because, so basically, throughout the years, he assumes the identity of, like, oh, this was my father, and then when he gets old enough that people start to think, like, wait, you're kind of old. Why aren't you getting older? He goes, oh, well, no, you're talking about my dad. He died. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it kind of like how a vampire, and actually they mentioned that a person that knows that he's an eternal and stuff thought that he was a vampire when they first met because he doesn't age.
His lackey, whatever. He was pretty funny too, though.
Yeah. So basically he's kind of the just stereotypical diva movie star type character.
Yeah.
So then we have Leah McHugh, who is only 14 years old and actually did really good in this movie. She plays Sprite. Job. Yeah, so she plays Sprite. She was known for The Lodge in 2019 and Songbird in 2020. She plays Sprite, who is able to create illusions, but she's basic. So they're all characters, as Sam said. None of them die. They're immortal, and they're all thousands of years old. But she is trapped in the well, she's not like trapped, but she's stuck in a body of a 14-year-old girl, so she can never date.
Experience.
She can never find
true
love.
Stuff like that.
Actually, look, I'm not trying to be a weirdo here, okay? But I am saying, there are actually diseases and things like that make people stop growing who are adults, and they have normal relationships with other adults. But for the purposes of this movie, she's basically stuck in that, and Marvel and Disney, they're not going to do a thing where you have a 14-year-old actress in a have a relationship. But,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm 27. If I looked like I was 14, but I was actually 27, I could find a lady who, would date me, marry me, and have kids. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty fit guy, too, yeah. I just go find an old lady with weird fetishes and... No.
That's all you gotta do, man. Everyone's into anything these days.
No, it's okay for us to say the joke about ourselves that way, but because it's a girl, Hollywood is...
Yeah, of course, but we're not getting to that part of it. We'll move on.
Yeah. But anyway, she can't have relationships, she can't grow old, she can't have normal stuff like the other adult people do. So then we have Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Faustus, obviously like Festus from Greek mythology. He is
one of my favorite gods, as a matter of fact. He's one of my favorite.
So he was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in 2018, and he also most recently did a movie called The Woman in the Window. So basically he is a technomancer, which is a less common superhero power in movies and media and stuff. Basically he can control technology with his mind. And he's an
engineer.
Yeah, he's the tech guy. He's the engineer. He builds everything. And also he is gay.
But we didn't find out until later in the movie, though.
Right, we did. But as far as who the character is, literally, if you had to sum up his character or any of the characters, like I said, it's literally just the bullet points we're saying. So Festus is gay, engineer. That's it.
Yep.
Then we have Lauren Ridloff, who plays Makari. She is deaf. She's the deaf actress. And she was from the Walking Dead series in 2018 to 20...
Is she actually deaf?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and she's actually playing... so she's in the Walking Dead, which is still running now. And then I think the last season is going to be in 2022. And then she was also in a movie called The Magnificent Myersons from 2021. So she's deaf and she's super fast. That's her.
She has speed, literally. Everything's fast.
Yes. And that's her character.
She's feisty.
Yeah, actually, I would say that her character is given a little bit more character. Like, you get a little bit more of her character, and she's kind of like feisty. Yeah, she's like. And
I'm okay with that because I thought it was kind of funny that they made the deaf one the really kind of snippy one, and she doesn't talk at all. Yeah. Her sign when she signs, it's always something that's really snippety, or I'm trying to find the right wording here, but she's got the attitude, but it's funny.
No, I know, snarky. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
There you go, that's the one, snarky.
And actually, I would say that Sprite's character, Leah McHugh's character, actually does have a little bit of that too. She's very sarcastic. So probably Makari and Leah McHugh's character is the ones that they focus most on development, actual character development.
Yeah.
Then we have Barry Keoghan, who plays Druig, and he is from the movie well known for Killing of a Sacred Deer in 2017, and he's also was in the Green Knight, which released this year. And Druig, I mean, actually, if you see the movie Killing of a Secret Deer, this guy is almost the same character that he played in the movie Killing of a Secret Deer, which is kind of
really?
Yeah, it's kind of a horror thriller, and he's just kind of he's a very serious, almost like depressed all the time, deadpan actor. And
he's Irish. I'd be mad too.
Aren't you Irish?
I'm Norwegian and Belgian, my man.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually have a little bit Irish.
That's why I'm so beefy and husky.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so he's very like deadpan, very serious, kind of depressed, and they touch on he's another one that gets a little bit of character development. They kind of touch on how he's dissatisfied with certain things that are going on, and that's kind of shown through his character.
His power is he controls minds.
Oh yeah, sorry, his power is that he controls minds. Yes, so he's stoic, mind controller, and very like sad about certain things and frustrated with certain things that are going on.
That's basically what he is.
Then we have Ma Dong-seok, who is a Korean actor, and he is known from the movie Train to Busan in 2016, which was on Netflix, and also Ashfall from 2019, which is a Korean movie, or a foreign film, and he plays Gilgamesh, who is the one character that I think may be physically stronger than Icarus.
I think he's the only one that could take him in a fist fight because Gilgamesh is strong. That's his power is strong. He has his little glove-like boxing that comes out of his arms, and he punches. Every time these characters do something, use their powers, their hands or something lights up. Because it's kind of like, imagine kind of like an energy thing, right? So when Icarus shoots his laser, it's the yellow thing.
That's what it is. A light construct. That's what it is.
A light construct. So like Angelina Jolie's character, they're all light constructs. This guy Gilgamesh has this, and you could tell he's strong. You know what I'm saying? You could tell. You'd be like, yep, that's his strength. And he lights up his arm. He has this like glove thing, and it comes when he punches things. It's actually really cool when he uses it. Yeah. No, I actually really liked his character. So then we have some supporting characters. Harish Patel, who was in the movie Run, Fat Boy, Run in 2007, and he was also in the made-for-TV movie The Midnight Gang in 2018, and he's the one that you were saying is funny. So that is Kingo's valet, and he knows about who the Eternals are, and he's a human, and he actually is kind of the comic relief. Yeah, he definitely is. He's definitely he's a very funny character. I'm glad. At first, I was like, why are they making this guy follow him everywhere he goes? But then I was like, okay, I get it now. The writers wanted some more comedy involved.
Well, and there's parts where they'll say like, oh, the world's gonna end, and then he's like, wait, what? Like, I'm on this world. I can't just leave. Like, what do I do?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Something like that. And it's actually kind of awesome when they do it because they don't force it down your throat. The comedy. They put it in certain spots because the overall aura of the movie, if I can say that, is kind of downplayed. It's not downplayed. It's really.
It's almost sad. It's serious and sad.
Sad and very serious. It's not really funny. There's not too much action into it, which is weird for a Marvel movie, but.
Yeah. And I have some thoughts on that, and we're going to talk about that once we get
on here. I'm getting too ahead of schedule here. But.
No, we're good. And then, so he's the movie's comic relief. He does an okay job. He lightens the mood some of the times. And then you have Kit Harington, who plays Dane Whitman, and he's also known from Game of Thrones series from 2011 to 2019, and he was also in How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. His character is the love interest of Cersei.
Yeah.
And is almost completely pointless to the context of the movie, actually, because
he honestly is. They only put him in there just to have a more famous, because they already have Salima Hayek and Angelina Jolie, which are already two of the biggest movie stars to date right now. Two of them. They already have those two for.
And he was heavily shown in the promotional material too.
Exactly, and he was more than 15, 20 minutes of screenplay, maybe.
Not even that. I think maybe between 5 and 10.
Yeah, I don't like that in movies at all when they do that. Is like a high end actor is like. There's only one example I like of it.
He has a cameo. That's what it is.
He has a cameo. Best. The only cameo I really liked that was to me hilarious was in Deadpool 2, and it was Brad Pitt as the Invisible Guy. That's
that was for comedy. Yeah, no, but that was for comedy, so it worked.
That's the comic relief. I get that. I'm saying it's the only time that ever worked like that.
Yeah. So do I think that it's bad that they included him? No, but if you wanted to go see Kit Harington be in the Eternals, he's not. And so I'll explain. We'll talk about why Kit Harington is okay. But basically, you look confused. You don't know what I'm talking about.
I know. I'm listening to what you're saying, man. I'm listening.
But we'll talk about why it was okay that he was in this movie. But at the same time, he does nothing. He's in the beginning. He shows up at the end. And he's just some human who's Cersei was dating.
And loving an Eternal.
Yeah. Cersei. So it's basically like the Eternals are here. They have kind of a conflict with the Deviants thousands and thousands of years ago, and then nothing happens. Like it's over. So they go their separate ways, live their own lives. Cersei starts dating this guy in present day, and then another thing happens, and now the Eternals have to get back together, and so she has to like leave him, and then in the end he shows up again, and some stuff happens. And then it's the end of the movie though, so it's like his character doesn't do anything. But okay, exactly. So that's the characters. That's what we're working with. We do have a star-studded cast. I like how the two brothers, the two Starks, get back together for. This movie, because Icarus and Kit Harington were the brothers, the Stark brothers in Game of Thrones.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah, and I also love it how Robb Stark, who is played by Icarus, is this is like the first thing that I'm gonna get into with you here. So this is like a good segue. Robb Stark is in love with Cersei. Cersei is dating Jon Snow, okay? Who is Kit Harington, okay? And Cersei in Game of Thrones is the evil, heartless that both of those characters are trying to kill. So I thought that was pretty funny. Like during the movie, I laughed at that. I thought that was funny.
I never seen Game of Thrones, so I didn't know how that was connecting, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, she's a heartless, evil woman. Anyway.
I like that. That's funny, though.
Heartless. Yeah. Yeah, she is.
She's nice in this movie.
In Cersei. No, not the actress. I mean, there's a character named Cersei, but it's not the same actress. Okay, so anyway, moving on. This is the miscellaneous section. So this is where the meat of the review is going to come. I'm going to go over some things, and then as I go, just interject, okay? Interrupt me, and then we'll let you say your piece here. But first of all, I want to say this is not a superhero movie. This is a character drama, which is what the director is known for, which is probably why they picked this director. And I can definitely see, because when you see the character drama parts come out, you go, oh, you can see how this is actually done. Because actually the character drama part of this, and the characters, and kind of introducing the characters and stuff, and seeing the team dynamic, I mean, there's too many characters for you to get too much character, like a meaningful amount of character development, but at the same time,
exactly.
For what they have, they did a good job balancing 10 characters.
And I'll go out on a limb and say that as well, that because you have so many characters here to work with, and you have so little time to make a movie work, that the character building in this movie isn't a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense, that's to whatever it is. But overall, like the movie, when it came to the characters, the development, yes, wasn't there very well, but the characters they did focus on, there was a lot it just piled on real quick. You got to pay attention to it, but it is an interesting aspect. A new different way of having a Marvel movie, because normally you have a Marvel movie that's a lot of action and stuff, but generally people already know the comics who go there anyway. Generally,
yeah. Well, yeah, and that is the thing is oftentimes we see a lot of, in other Marvel movies, you see a lot about the characters in the things that they do. So, you'll see Captain America is selfless because he'll run into a building and save civilians and almost die. Here, we didn't have a lot of that action, a lot of those things to actually see. We didn't have a lot of things that allowed the characters to be, for us to see the characters' motivations through their actions. This one was hard to review because, like I said, it's weird because they do have some good character moments, but at the same time, there's too many characters. It's odd. We're gonna get in, we're trying to make it work here as far as how to review this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not the easiest movie to break apart, but so here is my proof anyway for those who don't believe me at home that this is a character drama. This is what I mean. There are 3 points that I have. Every character is defined by 2 things: their powers and their love interest. For instance, Icarus. Super strong, flies, loves Circe. Dane Whitman, Kit Harington's character, human, loves Circe. Circe, she can change things from one thing to another thing. Loves Icarus. That's a huge part of the movie, is this love romance between Icarus and this kind of love triangle.
Circe.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
I wouldn't even call it a love triangle, really. I just call it mostly a love interest between Icarus and Circe. And then Dane Whitman comes then out of nowhere. He's kind of nowhere. So I wouldn't call it a triangle. It's more like a love interest complexity.
Okay, then you have Angelina Jolie. She's in love with. She's not even super strong, but she has these light construct things she can do. She's the warrior type. And she's in love with Gilgamesh. So their relationship. Okay, then you have.
But it's more like love, like a brother loves a sister. It's not like a sexual.
I don't know. You say
that's how I gathered it. That's how I gathered it.
You say platonic. I don't know. I'm not sure. But okay, maybe. Then you have Sprite, Leah McHugh, the 14-year-old. She is also in love with Icarus, and she can't be with him because she's like a child and he's in love with Circe.
Yes.
So that plays a huge role in parts of the movie. Then you have Faustus. He's gay, and so a huge part of his character is just that he's gay. They literally reference later on how he's in love with this man and has a son. They have adopted an adoptive son, and his big part of his motivation is his love for this human man and for his human son, their adopted son. You have again, Gilgamesh, who his big motivation is his love, either platonically or romantically. It doesn't really get into it. It doesn't need to. For Thena, the whole a big, huge part of this is people's romances, and I think it in certain Avengers movies and certain superhero movies, you'll see Hulk likes Black Widow, so they never really have a romance, but they care for each other, so that's a motivation. Or you'll see Vision, who likes Wanda. But those things are touched on in kind of lightly, and they don't take as big a role, but they do still work for the character's motivation.
Exactly.
I think that here it just overpowers everything that's going on. So much of what is going on. Yeah.
It takes away this. That's every 5 seconds, this person, I love you too, and it takes away from the actual story itself. It takes away from what's actually going on, instead of hey, look over here, we're doing this stuff, and all of a sudden something's a little that could possibly move the story along, is being overshadowed by these people and all these circles doing their own little thing, instead of go over the broader picture.
Yeah, I will say that the fact that it's a character drama does not necessarily mean bad as far as the character drama part of it being bad, okay? But if you're coming into this wanting your true blue superhero experience, they kind of just throw that in, and that kind of is sidelined to the character drama that's going on within the movie.
Yes, very much.
They do have references to Thor and the other Avengers. And so that's kind of and that's kind of cool. If you're looking for little Easter eggs, there's 2 after credit scenes. Did you see both of the after credit scenes?
I did not actually. I was dumb and I walked out of the theater.
You're one of the
after
people that walks out of the theater. Okay,
I forgot what they
will
were.
tell you. So one of the after credit scenes references Thanos, kind of, and introduces two new characters. And then one of the after credit scenes has to do with Dane Whitman, Kit Harington's character, and kind of opens up to some things going on with him in another movie, or in the next Eternals movie. And you'll have to just see that for yourself. And you'll have to see it. Look it up, Sam.
I'm going to. I'm sorry. I was so used to, like, I haven't been to a movie theater in a while because of this damn disease.
Okay, and then another thing to just throw in there before we really get into some of the big stuff to talk about is that this is the first Marvel movie that has a sex scene. They don't show any. Yeah, they don't show any sex. Like they show. You know how they did
It's
it?
obvious.
No.
They're naked.
Well, they're not naked. You don't see any nudity, but you see they do it kind of like they used to do it in old Hollywood movies, where you'll see them like kiss, and then fireworks would go off, and they wouldn't show anything sexual, but it was just like, oh, they just had sex. So you see them like kissing, and you're like, oh, they just made love, but you don't actually see them having sex.
You don't see humping or thrusting or nothing like that.
Yeah, it's okay for kids. It's okay for kids. As far as
definitely. Very, very kid-friendly movie.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was pretty funny is that they explain global warming in this movie. I don't know if you remember. So basically, even in the promotional material, no spoilers, they've talked about how there's this thing called the emergence. And you're like, oh, the emergence. And they explain that the emergence happening on Earth is what has raised the temperature of the planet. The core temperature of the planet is raised from emergence. So all you people who out there who have all your different beliefs, actually, it's the emergence. So you need to just chill, okay? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I say actually, there was a small amount of humor, but it's mostly serious. We kind of talked about that. And then I actually think that this was the best. I think that this was the best Marvel villain. Not spoiling like the big reveal of the villain. Like once as you're watching
the real villain or the thought we thought was the villain.
No, so there's two villains.
Technically two.
No, one villain is terrible. The other villain, though.
I was gonna say because you're right because that one, I was like, really, this is dumb.
Yeah.
The way I'm not trying to spoil it. I'm not. But it's just like, but you know what I'm talking about. The first one.
So
yes.
Yeah.
It was
so
dumb.
no spoiling what's really going on. But once they kind of reveal the whole situation and you start to understand the villain is kind of revealed, and you're like, oh man, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, exactly. And I can agree with you 100%. That is probably one, if not the most, one of the most best villains in Marvel right now.
Yeah, but that's all we can say. Like, don't.
Yeah,
really...
the way he went about it, or the way they went about it, was just genius. It was pure fucking evil, man.
Yeah, no, really, this was done really well.
Yes.
Okay, so now not everything was good. Basically, we've kept it on the lighter side of things, but now we got to get it. Before I get into, I would say now we got to get into some problems. Before I get into any of the problems, do you have anything else you want to talk about, Sam? Before we get into.
No. We pretty much covered all the big major stuff, and we have been keeping it kind of light.
Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to deep dive into this. There were some storytelling structural issues, and what I mean by that is, I have a couple of points. I'll just read them off real quick. First, it opens with a text, and it explains the origins and purpose of the Eternals. So basically, it's one of those movies where it's like, read this thing, and then you read it, and that's the explanation of what the Eternals are. Okay?
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks. Everybody wants to be shown, nobody wants to be told.
I was kind of bored of that. I was like, really?
So immediately from that text, they actually do something a little bit nice. I did like this a little bit. The text jumps into the very next scene, and the first scene of the movie is an intro, what I would call an action intro, where you see each of the characters fighting in a fight with deviants, and you see all of them use all their powers. So you do kind of get that. Actually, was not bad, where you get to see all of their powers introduced, and you kind of see what they're all about. That's cool.
Yeah.
They use a lot of flashbacks. Which isn't necessarily, flashbacks aren't necessarily bad for the movie, but there are a lot of momentum resets. So it's like the movie's moving like this, and we're going, and we're going, and we're going, and all of a sudden goes, wait, stop, come back here. Like, wait, stop, we gotta come, we gotta do this thing, and then it just kind of resets the momentum. And then they have multiple redundant expositions, meaning they introduce the Eternals, and they explain what they're there for, and they explain what they're about. Then you, the audience, learn some other stuff, and then later on they explain the Eternals again, and they explain what they're there for and what they're about. And then that thing that you, the audience, know gets explained again to the characters. So it's like 4 or 5 times they kind of like break the action to tell you again who the Eternals are, what they're there for, what they're doing, what they're
and it just got really redundant. There's some arcs there, and there's like multiple different stories inside the story, because after the mission was on pause, or however you call it, they all went their separate ways, and everyone did their own little thing, and then the big major event that's happening to bring them back is happening, and it's just then you got to basically reintroduce everybody, and it's just on top of that you got some flashbacks you got to deal with. And it was it's ridiculous.
So that is the big thing. So they're all actually introduced very well in the beginning of the movie with the action introductions, and then after their mission is over and they've kind of defeated these deviants a long time ago, this emergence happens where deviants are coming back. And so basically after the deviants come back and the movie really starts to get going, what it is, the part of the movie that is supposed to be the action before the final conflict, instead of it being a bunch of action with fighting deviants, what it ends up being is flashbacks, but then also let's go here and get this guy. And then it reintroduces that character. And then they get that character and you think, okay, now we're going to fight deviants. And then they go, nope, let's go get this other guy. And then they reintroduce that character. And you start to go through the team like 2 or 3 at a time where they're just getting new characters and introducing them. And it's like, what?
And then, and yes, you see some people fight deviant stuff, but it's very short fights and it's nothing spectacular. I mean, it's cool whenever you see Angelina Jolie flipping around with her light stuff, but it's really cool when you see them actually fighting, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not Marvel standard. Yeah, it's not Marvel standard. Not a whole lot of wide-angle shots where you actually just see them fighting. They do that thing where they cut. So it's like I'm about to punch, and then they'll cut, and you'll see the punch from another angle. So they break up. It's not the best action scenes. We'll just say that.
It's really not. But then again, it's not really an action movie either.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a character drama. I know that's... Yeah, exactly. So, we're on the same page here.
Yes, we are.
They introduce a thing called Mad Weary, which I thought was... Okay, so Mad Weary, they basically explain that with one of the characters, they have this problem where the Eternals are so old that they almost start to have dementia, and so they get aggressive and start attacking the other characters. It shows up 2 or 3 times in the movie, and then towards the end of the movie, they forget about it. Like towards the last act of the movie, it's not an issue anymore. Like something.
It's really not.
Yeah, they don't actually resolve what causes this Mad Weary for this character, but at one point in the movie, they just forget about it, and it no longer happens, and it's not an issue anymore.
I kind of noticed when one character, something happens to that one character that they care each other about. The one with the Mad Weary is mourning over that loss or whatever happened to them, and then after that she's like they just are cured for some odd reason, and they've never mentioned it again.
I thought it was stupid for a couple of reasons, because vampires don't go insane. Like, vampires exist in the Marvel Universe. Immortal people exist in the Marvel Universe, and they do not go insane. Like, they don't go crazy because of how old they are. There are people who've been around for thousands of years don't have this problem. I thought it was stupid, and they included it. They included it only for part of the movie. It was just dumb, though.
I think I know why they did it, because it explains why this person is getting the Mad Weary, and kind of helped push it along, but it didn't. But it didn't really add anything, and all it did was add extra drama to it to have them fight amongst themselves instead of the one thing they got to be fighting.
Exactly, but and that is
explain it in the movie. They do explain in the movie why this person is getting it, but they didn't really dive deep into it because I'm not diving deep into either because that's going to give away a big part of the movie, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, yeah, and actually that's a good way to put it because that's where most of the conflict from this movie, in this movie is not the Eternals fighting deviants. It's personal infighting within the characters. It's characters interacting with each other.
It's not even just fighting. It's jabbering back and forth.
Personal conflicts within the team. That's where most of the conflict.
That's the big part of it. It's a very slow movie.
Yeah. So kind of it is taking us a little. We're okay for time and stuff, but I'm just going to keep us moving here. Okay. Yep. So the deviants are like a complete letdown in this movie when compared to their comic book counterparts. I'm about to reveal something to you that is not a spoiler for the movie, but it's going to blow your mind here, Sam, because you probably didn't know this. Thanos, in the comic books, is a deviant. They could have had... Because deviants are literally... So deviants are not... In the comic books, are not demon tentacle monster... Or demon tentacle monster things that you see. Whatever these things are. Deviants are literally Eternals that are... changed a little bit in kind of an evil way, and they basically they literally are what the Eternals are, but like an evil version of it. So like Thanos would be an example of a deviant. They don't all look the same. Some of them look different. Some of them have weird mutations and stuff. Yeah. Thanos is one. Thanos' father, a couple of other ones, and they all have pretty cool powers that Eternals tend to be. The Eternals were all supposed to be more powerful than all of than the Deviants, but still, they were like Deviants. They could have done some cool stuff with the Deviants, and instead they made it. They made it a generic monster. Now it was cool. It was cool because you see how the Deviants do this thing where they evolve a little bit as they fight. They start to develop different powers and stuff to be able to fight the Eternals, but it was still just so generic.
I know, and on that one part, like I said, because there's two main bad guys, so I'm not going to give one away, but I don't like what they did with that one deviant. I don't like it.
Yeah, so there is kind of a main... So there is a main deviant. Okay, without spoiling it, I'll explain to you. There's the deviants, right? But there is a character that is manipulating this thing, and they're revealed, and it's really cool, and they introduce it in a really good way, and it is actually pretty good. But there is one main deviant, and they kind of focus in on him and give him a little bit of character and stuff, but then in the end, there's no payoff, and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was building up. The build-up was okay. I wasn't a big fan of that part of it, but I was like, I'll go with it. And just nothing happens at the end. It's the end for that deviant. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like, what's the point in bringing this a character that you're not going to develop further or extend or something like that?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I agree with you completely. I do want to say, kind of moving on from the deviants, if you don't have anything else to say, okay? The music was not great. It was disappointingly average. In the Marvel movies, I remember every time that something would happen in a Marvel movie, some fight would be happening or something, when they would play the music, and that music would literally just grab you in the gut and make your soul feel like it was flying through the air. I mean, really, like, they do a really good job. Here, I just remember pausing halfway through the movie and just thinking, I have not been moved by the music a single time. It's not, like, terrible. But it's just average.
It's not bad music. It's not bad. It's not like amazing either. A good example for me to explain it was the first time I watched Phantom of the Opera. Right, the opening scenes of Phantom of the Opera after not even during the not even before they start the auction part. It's right when the credits come down. It's just right in your face. A piano organ hits your face. Do, and it hits you right in the chest, man, and it was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah. You don't really get any of that in this movie. Yeah, you don't. Like you're saying, huh? I was gonna say you don't get anything like that in this movie.
Not at all. It's very disappointing because I'm a big, and you know this, Mike. I'm a very big guy for music. I love music.
Yeah.
It's just, and when there's no music, to me, it's like it's blah.
Yeah.
The action scenes when they were there were pretty epic, but
the music didn't match it. Yeah.
There was because it was all you could hear was the deviants growling, them throwing a chair at it or whatever, shooting at it with his blasters, and that was all. You couldn't. The music was an underlining part of it, and that's very upsetting to me.
So kind of getting into the end here, winding it down before we do the final statement here. I do want to say that the resolution of the final conflict that does happen as it comes to an end, I didn't like it because it basically Feistus comes up with this piece of technology that he's going to use to do the thing. We're not going to spoil it, so I'm going to be very vague here. And then it doesn't work, and then he goes, "Oh no, wait! I have another idea." And they just throw a bunch of basically techno mumbo jumbo at you. And I was like, "Okay, whatever that means." It's just basically what he comes out and says is, "I can do the thing," and then he does it, and it's like, okay, that kind of sucked. I think that they tacked on a few character resolutions onto the end of the movie that didn't really. Like, things that nobody really cared about, they didn't really get a whole lot of development, are all kind of tied up.
The thing with Sprite?
Yes. Yeah, so there's kind of a thing that goes on with Sprite, and they just go, oh, here, whatever, and throw it in at the end, and we didn't really care about it. That kind of sucked. The most disappointing thing, I think, that to come away from this movie so far, really, though, is that we have undefined power levels for each of the characters. So you know that Gilgamesh is super strong. But the only thing that you ever see him do is punch and block the hits of these deviants. The only thing that you ever see Icarus do is shoot lasers at and fly into deviants. You don't ever see anybody show you what they can do. My idea going into this movie was that probably, I think Ajax was terrible because she literally had nothing. She could just heal. It really seems like the characters who are not super strong in this are just basically people. They're not, I thought going into this that each of the Eternals was going to be, all of them were going to be at least a little bit super strong, maybe not as super strong as some of the, some other characters we know of, but some sort of super strength and maybe some durability resistance. And I didn't get that at all. It really feels like you could stab one of the Eternals with a knife and kill him.
Yeah. Some of them, like Cersei, for example. It's all she does is her power, which is an awesome power, but there's no it's not really an offense. The only way you can use it is defensively. Yeah. She has no Sprite. She doesn't have. She has no offensive powers either.
She can make illusions.
And Nina's Druid has no offensive powers. All defensive characters, and I'm okay with that. But they should maybe give a little boost of maybe they all should be super strong or endurable,
at least a little bit. At least a little bit. Yeah, at least a little bit. Stronger. Like Asgardians from Asgard are all basically bulletproof, and they're all able to be. They're all super strong to a slighter extent. They're not all as strong as Thor, but they're all super strong. They could probably all lift a car. Okay, I don't know, and I didn't see anything that shows me how strong Icarus is. I didn't see anything in this movie that shows me how strong any of them are.
In the movie, everyone says that Icarus is the strongest one. Icarus is the strongest one. He should be the leader. I don't know why Cersei's the leader all of a sudden, but they just say how, and then Icarus himself says that you don't want to fight someone like me, or he doesn't want to fight me, or whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, well, how strong are you? Are you strong as? Yeah, is it? What do you mean by you don't want to? How strong are they? Not equally as strong as you are? Are you the stronger of the Eternals on this planet, or what? What's the deal here?
It really makes you wonder, who would win in the normal Eternals or Captain America? So. But anyway, so let's move in. So that was one thing, but that I was kind of disappointed. But anyway, let's move into our final review score. What is your final statement and review score?
Final statement was definitely have your family and friends come watch. It's a very PG movie, if that makes sense. It's very family friendly. I'm gonna give it a below average score personally.
Below
because
average? Below average?
I say below average, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Because it's not the fact I hate the movie. I actually enjoyed the movie a little bit, but it wasn't like moving for me. And you see Marvel Studios, you're thinking like how Captain Rogers was doing his thing and throwing a bunch of stuff, big explosions and music and stuff like that. But it just wasn't there. It was all character dramas, and there was not a lot of action into it for considering a superhero movie. And we will discuss this, really not. So that's why I say it's a below average movie.
Yeah,
so definitely go see it.
Yeah, I would definitely say, so I'm going to come right out and say that I think that this was a low average. I would say low average. You might be right with below average, but I'm going to say low average just to kind of try to keep it a little bit fair here. I will say, though, I think that they made a huge mistake in the writer selecting the super amateur writers. This director who is okay, but she is not the director for a superhero movie. Like I said, the character stuff, as far as trying with what they had, as many characters as they had, they did better than I thought as far as developing the characters and giving each character a little bit apart. But it just was not what we probably needed was this. If this director had the opportunity to make 3 or 4 movies where they introduced each character and started to show them a little bit better, this might have been better. But they
think so too.
What they did here was almost like the original DC's the Justice League movie, because they just threw a bunch of characters on top of each other, and it was not. Yeah, it just was none of them were very as special as we would have wanted them to. I would say that it was. Oh, go on.
Yeah, and you read comic books. Obviously, I don't read a lot. I'll fully admit I don't read a lot of comic books, and I'm a DC fan anyway. I like DC better. I like Marvel. They can the torches can come to me later. Okay, but so like someone like that. You don't know. I never heard of these guys before. Like if it's something like a movie coming out, Morbius coming out. I know a little bit about
introductions.
Yeah, bigger because it's someone you don't really know of these girls. I never heard of these people before until the movie came out, and then I read a little bit about it and I watched the movie. So I definitely agree with you for getting the more character development than what we got for this movie. I understand we couldn't get in the movie, but if they expanded it a little bit more, it would have been better.
So, I mean, I just think, I think that I was hugely disappointed in it.
Yes.
I think there just wasn't enough action. There wasn't enough things to keep you interested within the context. Like if this writing were done, if basically if they took 10 characters. If they took these 10 characters, took away their superpowers, and made this a soap opera, it would be a good soap opera, or maybe a good drama movie. Yeah, it would be a decent enough movie, non-action drama movie. But here it just was not done in the superhero fashion, and it just was not. Nothing really gripped you. It was really slow, and then, like I said, disappointing. Really good villain. Actually, like I said, I think this was the best Marvel villain.
Very good villain. I will say that. Very good villain.
It was too bad that he was placed alongside of put into such a bad, like a disappointing movie. So there you go.
Yeah.
So here at Mike's After Action Reviews, we're telling you that it's either a low average to below average. So that's what we got. Anything you want to say to the viewers before we head out?
Hopefully they enjoyed it. I want to apologize for not being on recent videos. I had some stuff going on at home, moving and stuff, but I'm officially back to doing reviews with Mike here, and I hope to do more with you for sure. All right, it's gonna be fun.
All right, awesome. So that's all we've got today, guys. We want to thank you very much and just say God bless you all, and have a good night.